My name's Ken Marchingo. I'm the CEO of Haven Home Safe. This is my 26th annual report, if you like, our report back to the community. And in a sense, this one will be the same as the preceding 25. In that, this year has been characterised by enormous growth, outstanding achievements, frankly some gobsmacking great initiatives, and also sadly and tragically by growth in demand, where it really doesn't matter too much, in a sense, how hard we work, how innovative we are, how much initiative we create. There is still homeless people that we turn away every day of the week. And so that bit we can't create or control. That is policy. It's policy that's an outcome of not having a policy. It's an outcome of not having a national housing policy. It's about having a state government that could be more interested. It's about having a federal government that's largely disinterested. This is the world we and other NGOs work in. What we can do is we can focus on the things that we can do. So what have we done? We're bringing to an end the Wattlewood project over 10 years almost now. A project that will deliver $45 million worth of value to our balance sheet, but more importantly creates 100 new affordable homes in metropolitan Melbourne. An outstanding development, the largest brownfield residential redevelopment ever done entirely by a housing association in this country's history. Outstanding work. We've absorbed into and welcomed into Haven Home Safe this year active community housing, and they've moved in with us in Preston into our purpose-built office, and we've created Australia's most innovative assistive housing hub, a great place to see how technology can enable people's lives. This plays together with our development in Glen Lyon Road. This is going to be probably the most advanced residential high-tech facility for people who have complex and profound disabilities. We're really excited about the Glen Lyon Road project. This will set a new gold standard for the sort of accommodation that people with complex disability can aspire to. By the time that you're seeing this, if you're still listening, we will have replaced our core debt with bond financing from the National Housing Finance Corporation, NHFIC as it's known. NHFIC is in existence today because of the work of Power Housing Australia, going back as far as 2005 when we wrote a report called A Vision and Plan for Social Housing in Australia. And we started the conversation about a bond aggregator to fund social housing. It was Power Housing Australia who went and nailed every senator in Australia to vote for this as the last motion on the last financial year, that enabled NHFIC to be created on the 1st of January this year, and we will draw down $65 million, which will enable new things to be done, replace our core debt and lower our costs, enabling us to do more. So not only are we benefiting from NHFIC, but we'd like to think we had a little bit to do with the creation of that. So in a sense, we're reaping that reward. Power Housing Australia, of course, continues to go from strength to strength, and we sit there quite proud, in essence, of the organisation that we curated and incubated. We, of course, went down the road, as we should, of looking at how we do our asset management and our maintenance. Every state housing authority in the Western world, and particularly every Australian one, has one thing in common. All of their stock has expired. It's beyond its useful life. It creates massive liabilities. It prevents the recycling of stock, and it condemns people to live in really quite awful circumstances. It badgers poor people. The challenge for us is to make sure we manage our stock. And in managing our stock, we've become, as it turns out, the first housing association in the world to get ISO 55001. It's an enormous achievement and sets us up well for the future. My colleagues will talk about the growth in our programs. They'll talk about the outstanding success of our Moving On program, the growth in our private rental assistance package brokerage. They'll talk about the astounding work that's being done with our off-road outreach along the river with Hey Ute and the great work of the Hey Van. But I just want to take a moment and talk about the rest of the people, the vast majority of this organisation, because there's always the stars, there's always the new program du jour, the initiative of the year. But what we often don't focus on is what makes the machine run. And I want to read a quote from Theodore Roosevelt, who was a president in the days when America had presidents that were worth talking about. And it's an excerpt from a speech he gave called Citizenship in a Republic. Now, it's called The Man in the Arena. And so, forgive the gendered language, that was a product of its time. But let me see if I can adapt the gendered language. It's not the critic who counts. It's not the man or the person who points out how the strong person stumbles, or where the doer of those deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the person who's actually in the arena. The person whose face is marred by the dust and sweat and blood of the experience. The person who strives valiantly, who errs, who makes mistakes, who comes up short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But it's the person who actually strives to do those deeds. The person who knows the great enthusiasms and the great devotion. The person who spends themselves in their worthy cause. Who at best knows that in the end, the triumph of high achievement, or who at worst, if they fail, at least fails while daring greatly, so that their place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. That captures the experience of the people who work in this organisation day after day, and I want to pay tribute to those people. I want to acknowledge not only the people who get ticked off because it's a new initiative, or it's a new exciting thing, or it's an enduring, amazing innovation like Sydney Myer Haven, for example, but it's the people running our transitional housing program, the people running our support programs, the people on the front line in our intake who do this hard work every day. It's our maintenance, our asset management staff, it's our accounting, it's our backroom staff, it's our HR, it's our risk, and it's all of those other people who make this place tick. That quote from Theodore Roosevelt, I think, says it all. They're out there in the arena every day with all the difficulty of that, and I pay tribute to them because not a single thing that I nor anyone else talks about in this annual report is possible without them. So I acknowledge the staff of Haven Home Safe. That's always the best thing about our year.